What's up, you guys? I'm Nate Zivin. This is Mac Radio Austin, and we are here at Fun Fest here with David from Ola Podrida. David, thank you so much for being here. Can you talk a little bit about your new record, the musical process, how this record is different from the other records you've done?
Yeah, so I had the first records were, for the most part, mostly done by me at home with our former drummer who I started the band with, Matthew Frank, playing drums, but everything else was pretty much pretty much one-man affair at home. So this one, I moved back to Austin from Brooklyn and put together a live band here. And then just once I had a solid band who was ready to tour, realized like I wanted to finally make a record with a band, go into a studio, do it to tape, just do the opposite of what I've been doing. Just because I would have probably been doing that to begin with at the time when I made both those records. I didn't really have a solid band in place. So I wrote the songs like with collaborating with the guys, unlike the first two albums, and kind of wanted to just capture the sound of us playing in a room. So went to Matt Oliver's studio, Big Orange, here in Austin, and recorded a 2-inch tape, and it was really awesome. I kind of think this is, I don't really play favorites because every record was made at a time, and it kind of like captures that time, and I'm happy with them all. But this is sort of the record I would have always wanted to make at any time of my life. The sound and the energy and the kind of songs I would have always wanted to make had I had the resources to do so. Not to say that the first two were not also what I wanted to make, but those were kind of done out of like, here's what I got, here's my options,
of course,
my limitations, and I made what I made knowing that. Like I played to, which doing films is something like I like that challenge of having limitations and then kind of playing, okay, I'm going to limit myself to these instruments and this thing, and then I write the songs knowing that. Whereas this one was really not that. This was kind of like, I want to do exactly what I want, and I'm going to have the resources to do it, and the guys to do it, and the studio to do it. So it was kind of like I did exactly what I wanted to do, and it kind of came out. I couldn't be happier.
Pitchfork gave you a 7.7 review.
A conglomeration of writers at Pitchfork decided that that's what it was. The average of all their opinions, that's what it was. So it's accurate to that. It's certainly like, I've had several friends whose bands were kind of really picked on and bullied by Pitchfork, so I kind of stay out of the fray. They've been fairly nice to me for the most part. So I sort of like to do that, like, yeah, they're nice to me for the most part. Fair enough.
You know, you were originally a composer for movies. What made you decide you want to start creating music that's not for movies, you know?
Sure, that's funny because I was always making, the movie music happened out of making music just for myself. I was 4-tracking ambient guitar type of stuff at home and giving it my best friend since I grew up was David Green, and so I would just send it to him when he was in college, and he ended up putting it to some of his student films, and then I did original music for a student film after that, and then when he made George Washington, my friend Michael Lennon and I made music for it, and then kind of snowballed from there to where doing music for films became sort of my primary focus for a while, but it was always a plan, and I just hadn't focused on it, and so it was definitely this sort of like, I need to do this before the hunger runs out. I got to make some records.
Yeah, no, of course.
And so then that kind of shifted my focus.
Do you have a specific artist or a band who you kind of look up to as an inspiration to your own music?
All my friends that I've played music with through the years certainly have had a huge effect on the way I think about music. And as far as favorite musicians that I've been listening to since I started making music, like Lou Reed and Neil Young, I think were two that I got into at a very impressionable age. I was lucky enough, my brother played me like the Live Rust Neil Young album when I was like 13, and then when I was babysitting when I was, I think, 14, I randomly listened to the first Velvet Underground record.
Yeah.
I think between those two, those really shifted just everything I thought about. Yeah. Kind of made me want to start playing guitar, so I would say those, and I've listened to both of them ever since. So yeah, Neil Young seems like there's a vulnerability to everything Neil Young does that feels like he's very human, and you can feel his frailness, and like Neil Young dying seemed real and a possibility. And while that has not happened, not to bury Neil Young yet, sorry, but Lou Reed almost didn't seem like that could. He just seemed more like a titan who was impenetrable, could not die. So it was like, Lou Reed's dead. Yeah, it was crazy.
David, thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Breaks him up with the SWAT